So we're scouting Sugarland, and Bill Gilmore's production manager, and Bill, we became good friends and did a lot of projects together. And Bill would say, well, okay, we're 40 minutes away from our home base, that's going to cost so much, or we could do something closer. Travel time is money, guys, because you're taking the crew while you're in the bus, that's costing. So we had that in scouting, we had that concept, and then I was there to, so see, there's a road comes here, it comes down here, we can park the cars here, Goldie can come down here, we can get it. Yeah, that's good. Well, we got back, Steve, he said, I feel like I'm stealing from you guys. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you're giving me these ideas. I said, no, that's the way it works. I mean, I give you ideas, you use them or you don't use them. It's what you do on film. And if you're smart, you listen. I remember I was directing some second unit on Starman, John Carpenter. And I had it all planned out, and I was going to bring a car around here, and the assistant said, Joe, this is not bad over here. And I looked like, you're right. I was wrong.
You're open to
this was a better shot. So you've got to be open. Don't be so stubborn, And I'll talk about that with Jaws, because that's what Stephen and I did on the third act.
Right. So let's go. Why don't we show a little, get in the mood of Jaws, because that's where we're going next. Let's get in the mood of Jaws.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws. This is Universal's extraordinary motion picture version of Peter Benchley's best-selling novel, Jaws.
I just found out that a girl got killed here last week, and you knew it. You knew there was a shark out there. You knew it was dangerous, but you let people go swimming anyway.
You yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Is it true that most people get attacked by sharks in 3 feet of water, about 10 feet from the beach?
Yeah. What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine.
We're not only going to have to close the beach, we're going to have to hire somebody to kill the shark.
Bad fish. But I'll catch him and kill him.
Did you hear your father? Out of the water now!
This shark, swallow you whole. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
That's a 20-footer.
25. 3 tons on him.
Hurry up, he's coming straight for us. Don't screw it up now. Don't wait for me. Now! Shoot! What's his tail? Give him room! I can't, he's trying to run! Oh! Cut it quick! I can't hold it! Hurry! Take it up! Rhode! Everybody out of the water!
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Jaws. See it before you go swimming.
Has anybody seen that movie? So, before we get all the way into Jaws, you were working on Sugarland Express, and Dick Zanuck and David Brown bought the book, had the galleys, bought the book, and I'll let you go from here.
Well, actually, it was Helen Billy Brown, who was editor of Cosmopolitan at the time, was married to David Brown. And Richard Ellis was the guy that David wanted to do the story. Remember, do you know Richard? He had a great designer, drawer, illustrator of fish. So they didn't have a charge number, they didn't have anything. They had the galley sheets. And I had met Dick and David, obviously, Sugarland. And so David said, well, maybe Richard should do some drawings to sell this thing. And Dick said, no, let's keep it in-house. Joe's, you know, I was a staff guy, making scale, working on television movies, and they had no charge number. So David called me and said, you know, I'm going to do this book. We got this book. We think it might make a good movie, but we need some illustrations to sell it to the studio. And I said, okay, but we really can't pay you. Can you do it in between, you know, sets?
While you're doing Sugarland Express.
No. I was doing some television movie at the time, and there was a lot of locations. So I checked out the set. I come back to the office. Double Indemnity was the television making of that. So I started drawing based on the book, the galley sheets. I hadn't really researched white sharks at the time. I didn't know that they had harpoon guns. I was throwing harpoons like it was like Moby Dick. But I did the girl getting eaten, the fisherman getting eaten, the kid getting eaten. So I did a good 30 good-sized illustrations.
And by the way, a lot of these drawings are in this book.
Oh yeah, they're all in the book. Oh, you're trying to sell the book?
Huh? No, I'm just letting them know because
Okay.
I've seen this book and these drawings are all in that book and it's like...
Well, so this was it. So they, I had kept the drawings because they never paid me for them. So anyway, we had a meeting with all the department heads. I go back to the studio thing because I want to really emphasize how that was important. The head of the department would give you the job. So actually, they didn't give me the job. I just sort of took it over because they gave me these things and they said, okay, we're going to have a meeting. Remember the date, because I kept a little note, October 3rd, 1973, with all the department heads. Spielberg wasn't on the movie yet when I started this. They were talking to some other director, and he kept calling it a whale instead of a shark, and they decided not to use him. It was weird. I won't tell his name. But anyway, and I would go to Steven because we were friends, and he wanted to do a pirate movie, and I was showing him things about the shark. And he said, you know, if we do this, we really wanted to do like a full big shark in the ocean because we had recently seen Old Man in the Sea, which was a good movie, except the effects were terrible. They did this big marlin laid in a thing with a bad backdrop, you know. Real ocean, big shark. Never been there. So I do my big spiel, and Marshall Green was the head of production at Universal. And he was sort of enthused about it because Marshall lived on a boat, and so he thought that might be an interesting movie. People were looking at it as this little cheap shark movie. So when I was finished with my spiel, he turns to the effects department and says, okay, guys, can you make it? And they go, no, we can't. That's never been done. We can't make a full-size shark in the real ocean. God, that would take a year and a half. Besides, we have a bigger movie, Brad the Hindenburg we're doing, you know, and so Marshall got upset and he said, Jaws could be a bigger movie than the Hindenburg. And everybody laughed. Of course it's not going to be. Hindenburg was going to be the big movie.
Well, don't forget that that time there was the Side Adventure, Towering Inferno, and then it was going to be the Hindenburg.
Yeah, so I was putting my drawings away. This is a young thing to remember with all this enthusiasm. I was young, I wasn't that young, I guess, in my 30s, but I'd been around for a while, but that was still young by the standards of those days. I mean, if you're an art director in your 40s or 50s, it lasts forever. And so Marshall called me back, he says, "Can you get the shark made?" And I said, "Sure, I think I can, you know." Why not? Why not is another thing yeah, I could try to do it. Everybody says you can, I could try to do it. So I first went to Disney, and Disney had made whales, and they said, yes, but we won't take them in the ocean. I said, well, that's not going to help me. I talked to Joe Lombardi, who was an effects guy who did The Godfather, and Joe said, yeah, he said, Joe, but this is to take a year and a half. And yeah, I'm doing another picture, I can't do it. But it would take a long time. Somebody else, I was looking for a guy to sculpt this big thing. And Jim Casey, he said, there's Bob Mandy, who used to be at Disney's, and he did the 20,000 Leagues Under, he did this giant squid. So I met Bob, he was in his 60s, mid to late 60s, very enthusiastic, yeah, we can do it. And he said, give me a day or so. He came back with a wire sculpture that you pull the thing and the mouth open. Okay, it looks, we could do it. So he said, I need 6 people. So I found Roy Abergass, who's still my friend, who did a lot of things. Later did a little picture with me called Close Encounters. But he was a skate specialist, and we had to do different, plastics, flexible plastics, and things that would absorb too much water. Then we needed an expert in electronics, and we needed guys that good welders for chromoly tubing. And so we got 6 other guys, and I ended up calling the Magnificent 7, because I got 7 guys are going to go off and make this shark. So we started putting that together. I then went up to San Francisco to the Steinhardt oceanographical thing, and I met Leonard Campagno, who was a young guy who actually had found some new species of sharks. He came back and helped me, and I sculpted a 4-foot shark, and we detailed it like right on. This is what a Carcharodon great white shark looks like. So we detailed a 4-foot shark, and we're going to make it now like 6 times that size, 24 feet. And that was the idea. And I'll just briefly start the size of the shark. Once we got an okay, and we're going to do this, Stephen and I decided, because Leonard told me a perfect shark is 12 feet. As they get bigger, they get fatter. And I didn't want a fat shark. I wanted a mean-looking, slim shark. So we figured twice that, 25 feet, would be good. Now the studios get involved. How big is this shark going to be? So I had a guy draw just a line drawing of a 30-foot shark and a 20-foot shark, and we took it down to the parking area and put it up. The executives came out, they looked at it, and they said, well, the 20 doesn't look that big, and the 30 looks really too big. And I said, how about something between like 25?
20 foot or 25.
Oh, that's good. Okay, thank you guys. Stephen and I were happy that they came up with that size.
Let me ask you something. Now, you filmed obviously in Martha's Vineyard, and one of the things I thought was interesting that we've talked about is the color palette of Jaws. Can you talk about that from your production design point of view?
Well, the color palette, first of all, I got footage from Blue Water White Death, Ron and Valerie Taylor shot, and they were really experts, and we were going to eventually...
They were Australian, right?
Australian. We were going to do some second unit down there. So I was looking at that, and Verna Fields was the editor. Eventually won the Academy Award for editing Jaws. Incredible job. She had a new editing machine called the Kim. That was new then. And I called my painter in, and I'm looking at the thing, and I said, oh my gosh, the shark is the same color as the Kim. So we painted, shark is the color of the kill. Then the color palette you talked about is I didn't want any red.
Right.
I wanted to avoid red until
The blood.
but then this is a problem sometimes. You get communication. You say, we're having a meeting, and here's all the different departments, no red. Okay, so the little kid comes in, he's got a red bathing suit. I said, no, stop. Steven said, what, I got to shoot? I said, it's red. We don't have any in the bathing suit. What do you do? Okay, you shoot it. And those are the disappointments. Because you plan something, and somebody screws up, and what are you going to do? Hold up production? Or you shoot it red? So we shot it red.
What about the barrels? The barrels, you ended up painting the barrels yellow.
Barrels are generally black. Now let me tell you. First, we had a boat. I bought the boat north of here. We knew we didn't want too big of a boat, and we wanted a little boat. We needed a medium-sized boat, and I found a boat, the Warlock, north of Boston. Somebody told me where I bought it. People, I gotta tell you, Jaws people, what? Marblehead. People that are Jaws fanatics know more about it than I did. I said, no, you didn't do that. You did this. Okay. Anyway, we watched the thing, and as Stephen liked the boat, but we all agreed we wanted to have more character. We wanted bigger windows so you could always see the ocean. We wanted a pulpit, we wanted a crow's nest. So we gave Quint character, really character boat. Then we have barrels, and they're normally black, and I thought that's not going to work because you really want to complement your color to the ocean, which would be yellow. So they would really pop up. And they turned out to be a godsend because the barrels represented the shark. And when the shark wasn't ready, and you put with barrels, believe me, it worked. But even shooting barrels was so difficult because if you have a barrel and it sits down, it took a day before to put a 2,000-pound weight down there, and then a shiv, and then the line, and so that you're pulling and then it goes down. It's got to go down to something. So every shot, everything we did in the ocean got to be planned. To anchor the orca, we needed 4 anchors because you don't want it to do this. And then anchor the camera, and then anchor the effect. You know how you get an 8-7 for 8 o'clock shoot, and you're not shooting anything to 10:30, 11 o'clock.
What about, you also directed second unit on Jaws, right?
2. Oh, well, I did one, yes. In fact, you showed that scene.
Right.
That was interesting.
A lot of people don't know that.
Well, Stephen, everyone was getting tired. Stephen thought he had it pretty much. He said, I got a little scene, you can shoot it. And the reason I did like 250 storyboards, and I'll talk about that a little bit about the third act, but I was so familiar with how he was shooting and stuff. And so he said, yeah, it's a simple little shot. We got a dummy on the raft, got the shark, we got 11 kids splashing water. Simple. Except I wanted to shoot with the sun coming up, so it was backlight, and I went out in the morning to spot all this stuff, and it was so foggy, I had to set it with radar, and I didn't know, where the shark was going to be, and then the sun came up, and the shark was right there. But, so that was my first directing thing.
And did you also direct some of the...
Well, the barrels, actually, what happened was this. If I could briefly explain something. Remember I said we had a year and a half to make the shark, a year to make the shark? We started December 73. The book came out in February of 74, and the studio said we got to start shooting in 2 months. And we didn't have a script finished. We were a year away from the shark. No? We're thinking about next summer we need the release, right? That's all they were thinking about. They didn't think about us making anything. They thought about the money they'll make if they get this thing done. So Carl Gottlieb came on and had to write the script in a couple of weeks. poor Bob Manny, he had 3 sharks to make, and it was crazy. It was crazy. So as soon as it wiggled, we brought it to Martha's Vineyard, and then, if it wiggled, we would test it. If it worked, we shot it. If not, it was a test, and then it became,
Wow. What about Quint's Shack? I know that was a whole to-do. Quint's Shack, that opening moment where they're going out to sea. That shack.
Well, on an island, there's a lot of restrictions, a lot of selectmen, a lot of different political things you got to go through. Richard Zanuck wasn't crazy about shooting Martha's Vineyard because of the Chappaquiddick thing with Kennedy and the wealthy thing. Walter Cronkite lived there. I know, I talked to Walter. He said we used to watch him sneak around. We almost hit his boat one time. Anyway, that's true, but there are also quite a few people that have to work for a living there. And so I took a carpenter and a painter, and that's all I did. I built everything with the locals. I built a boat with the local boat builders. I built Quint's Shack with the locals. So they were really happy to see us. And so then Stephen was very smart because he would take some of the selectmen and put them in the movie. And so some of the characters sitting around the table were the various selectmen and political people. So he did a good political thing. He also didn't do a bad thing in hiring the president's wife, Lorraine Gary. Universal. That helped keep the movie alive. So Quint's Shack, I wanted a real character-looking building that fit his character, and I didn't, but I wanted influence by locale, so I took some of the structures and similar to the structures, but I made it a big building. And when I was scouting, I thought Edgartown was so perfect, so pristine, with the little white picket fences. Just a beautiful little town to be destroyed by a shark, And then I saw Menemsha, which was a fishing village. And I looked at Menemsha and I thought, oh my gosh, David Lean would have built this whole thing for a movie because it was so perfect. But it was there, and right over here, was an empty lot. And I thought, how could that be so perfect? Quint's Shack here, they leave out there. It just was incredible. This is luck, guys. In scouting, you got to think about what your shot's going to be, and sometimes you get lucky. And so this building, they didn't have a good building for Quint's Shack, but I could build one here. So I built it, but then there's all these restrictions. Oh, you can't build it too high. I said, well, it's not going to last. No, we had to put up a $500,000 bond that we would tear it down after we shot it, and I had to take a model that I made to Boston to get approval from those people, and it just went on and on like that,
But this might be a nice time to show some of your storyboards with music and effects, and then you'll also see the...
storyboard with the actor?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, we're going to show that right now.
Okay, this is sort of interesting because the third act...
I think we're going to go to that 14-minute mark.
Okay, we ended up shooting the storyboards because everything else was done.
Up past go. Break for depth charge. Stand by fire drill. Damage.
The third act of Jaws was really developed in the storyboards. Because it took a day in advance to set up the various sharks for shooting, we had to plan the shots very carefully. Animatics and pre-visualizations are used a lot today in the planning of action sequences. With computers and new editing equipment makes it possible. But it wasn't back then. So I took my old rough sketches and did an animatic 25 years later to show how it could have worked for us.
Oh, yeah, then there's the rest of the movie. So that's animatic. We didn't do that then because we didn't have that facility. So a friend of mine did this quite a few years ago. But what happened was, after we shot everything, I could walk and talk, and barrels, we had to do the shark. And so I sat with Stephen in between, and we planned everything with storyboards. As you can see, it's pretty close if you know the movie. So that what we would do, we weren't shooting scenes or sequences, we were shooting board 265, 266, 7, and we had those on the production wall, and we're shooting, that's what we're shooting tomorrow. So that would go out to the effects department, the boat people, prop people, wardrobe, so everybody would know this is what we're shooting tomorrow. Storyboards would work that way really tight, and it helped. Dick Zanuck would get elated when we got the shot and we'd mark it off with a big red marker. So that's what we did to the very, very end. Is now people said, and this is the honest truth, that because it didn't work, Stephen didn't use the shark as much. That's not true. Those are stories that are made up by people that weren't involved. Stephen, everything that we planned, we shot. Before the shark, he wanted not to see the shark with the girl Peter. So we had a rope on her, we were pulling her from one side to the other. Wanted to keep it as mysterious as possible. And the barrels represented the shark without seeing the shark. So when the shark comes up and Shiner says, my God, we need a bigger boat, we wanted the impact of that. And what was interesting, guys, was when the shark worked, it made a lot of weird noises because of the hydraulic, not pneumatic, we never use hydraulic because that's oil. We were so smart to use air. Air doesn't dirty the water. So it would be, so after the take, everybody would laugh, funny shark. So in the end, when we came home, I was very worried. A lot of us were very worried that people were going to laugh at the shark. We didn't have John's music, we didn't have a distance away by seeing on the screen like that. So they didn't laugh. After the first screening. The studio didn't know what they had.
Can you talk about, after the film was done, you were done with the principal photography, and then Stephen came up to you and said, I think there's a couple more opportunities for us?
Yeah. This is how small the movie was, as big as the movie was. Stephen wanted to, a shot of, show me a way to go home, boom, boom, and then the shark starts hitting the boat and it starts to crack the hull. So I built that in my garage, and we shot that in my driveway, Stephen in the camera, and a hose. So we got that shot. And then he said, because when we went back, we shot the little boat, we were looking for Ben Gardner, and we shot that at the Falls Lake on the lot. He said, if we could get his head and floating into a hole. I said, okay, so I built a section of the hole in my garage. Somebody stole the head from the makeup department. Stephen borrowed a camera. I don't know how he borrowed it because they had an underwater thing. All of a sudden, Zanuck and Brown didn't have a clue. So we shot in Verna Field's swimming pool.
You added milk right to the water?
Yeah, and Verna was at Ontario. So we got the head coming on, showing up. And there was a dailies today for Jaws. And Dick said, there's no dailies. We've been finished with this thing for months. No, there's dailies there. So the first screening, they didn't have it. The second one in Long Beach, I'm there, you know, Dick's there, Lou Wasserman's there, everybody's there, and they started the movie, and they didn't laugh, they screamed, and that caused the executives to go back into the bedroom and say, we have to reconsider this release of this movie. How about a summer release with a lot of theaters, like 450? Well, now there's 4,000, but that was huge then. And that was it. That was suddenly this picture, because, you know, I have had people, oh, you did Jaws, and they applaud. I said, no, when we came back, nobody was applauding us. They took the sharks and put it in the back lot and let them rot. They sold the orca for practically nothing to this guy. I don't know what you do next, Joe. You got to find a job, you know. And it was that kind of thing.